This episode is brought to you by Betadine. When you feel the sign, Betadine.
Hello and welcome back to the Rebel Mama podcast. I'm Aleks Jassem.
And I'm Nikita Stanley. And today we are discussing one of our favorite topics, pleasure as it pertains to travel. Joining us in studio today is the fabulous Natalie Preddie. Thank you so much for coming and being here with us.
Thank you for having me. My favorite topic.
Oh, yes.
Obviously.
So Natalie is a travel writer, an author, and TV expert based in Toronto. You may have seen her on Breakfast Television, CHCH Morning, Cityline, or read her work on the Globe and Mail. She's also a mom of 3 beautiful boys, wife to 1, and friend to many.
That's
Yay.
So sweet.
3 boys.
Yes.
I got 1, she's got 2, so we got a lot of penises between
so
us.
many penises constantly, which means there's pee everywhere.
Dude.
Yeah.
They can't make it into the toilet.
No, it's more
nice
like
sprinkle.
Yeah, it's like a suggestion.
Yes.
And the
Try
goal
to
is
get it
the
in the
toilet,
hole.
but it's never really. It never. I spend way too much of my life cleaning up pee.
I feel the same way. That's why we need vacations.
That's
at
why
the
we
rate
need
that we
vacations.
need them.
Yes.
Someone else is going to
exactly.
clean that off the toilet for us, and we'll be happy at that point.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, you're fresh off the plane from Mexico.
Yes.
So what were you doing there?
So this is one of the wonderful things about my job, one of my perks. I went to Breathless Resorts. They are launching a whole new series of pop-up events around their resorts in the Caribbean and in Latin America. So I went to one which was focused on sneakers. I am a big sneakerhead, so this was perfect. And we met with the sneaker mechanic, and he showed us how to paint our own sneakers. So we were sitting on the beach, having Caesars, drinking, and painting our own running shoes. And they're amazing. And I ordered fresh laces. And when I put them in, I will show them off. But I need like the total finished product. But I did them for Carnival on the road next year.
Oh, cool.
I feel like I've got to represent. So I did like a Jamaican flag.
God, I wanna
on
see
it.
these
I'm really,
sneakers.
I'm
Oh my
really
God,
excited.
you're going to have to send us photos.
Yes, I'm
when
really
they're all
excited.
They
set
gave
up.
you the sneakers too?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm in for that.
Yeah. Definitely check it out.
I'm not like an activities on vacation person though.
Okay. That's
I'm
fine.
like a really stationary, you will find me in the spot you left me at 9 a.m. at 4 p.m.
Laying
and
there in
I
the
will
sun.
be incredibly happy.
Well,
when you
perfect.
return.
Sun, swim.
Yeah. Too
Eat,
hot,
break,
go cool off.
drink.
Cool. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how we,
That's
we're
why
not
we
huge
vacation
on
well together.
Yes. We're not huge on like zip lining and like excursions.
Yeah.
Could you tell?
Can you tell? I mean, when we're in Europe, we walk around.
Yes.
Totally.
Indeed. But when we're on the beach,
When we're on the beach, we're on the beach.
And you
There's
guys
a rum beside us.
a
and
rum,
That's usually
yes.
it.
Rum punch.
rum punch.
And you guys have a connection to Mexico, right?
Yes, we do.
That's where we met and fell in love.
We were friends only through nightlife and through the BPM festival in Mexico. So we started spending time there together, and that's where we became close.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like our little spot.
Yeah, the first time we hung out during the day was on Tulum Beach.
Yeah.
And that was like,
That's when you still had your home there to your family home.
yeah, we sold it last year. My family
Oh,
has a house
no.
in Tulum.
Well,
I
Tulum's
know,
also
but
just like
it's not the same.
Right.
It's not
You're
what
right.
it was.
You're
Like
right. Yeah.
we did it when it was
Not
amazing.
Insta famous.
No.
Yeah.
And the beaches were quiet. There was a time where like you could have no Wi-Fi after 11 o'clock
Yes.
and the lights would go out. Like those days are gone.
Oh,
That's
Like,
when we
it's-
were there.
Yeah.
Like
So-
17 years ago.
oh my
Don't
goodness.
age us. babe.
Yeah, I know.
You can't divulge that type of information. Oh my goodness.
Just here to say we did Tulum
We did it first.
That's all.
Okay. We did Tulum first.
We're the ones that Instagrammed it and possibly ruined it for everybody else.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Okay, so tell us,
Yes.
because we want to know,
Yeah.
how does one become a travel expert? Please tell us the path that led you there.
Oh my goodness. So I've always been a traveler. Both my parents are immigrants to Canada. So we spent a lot of time traveling, England, Jamaica. And then from there, you'd go to like, if you're in London, you can get to Spain for like
Right.
50 pounds, right? So I grew up just visiting home. My mom was always a traveler. She traveled all over the world, lived in lots of random places. And I went to university abroad in England, and from there traveled. And I got to a point where in my life I was like, how do I make this a job?
Yeah.
Nothing
Dream
makes me
job.
happier than traveling.
Yeah.
How do I make this a job? So when I moved to Toronto in 2012, I was writing on the side, and I luck. Like I was in the right place at the right time when someone said, hey, we have a trip to Kenya. Would you cover it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. But while I was gone, the publication I was writing for folded. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to place a story somewhere. And I pitched it to the Star and went back and forth and didn't hear anything. And then my mother-in-law calls me and she's like, you're on the front page of the travel section in the Star. And I was like, what?
They didn't even tell you?
No.
I love that they just took it and ran.
Yeah, but it's
like, we don't have
awesome.
time.
Like it's a massive picture of me.
Amazing.
And not the one I would have chosen, but here
Do
we
you
are.
still have it?
Of course.
Yeah,
my
that's
father
like your first...
recently he framed it.
Oh my God.
And had it in his office for ages, and then he gifted it to me as well. As my first story. Yeah. So from there, I found like expert I feel like that's such a funny term.
It is. People call us parenting experts, and we're like, we are not.
You're like, I
assure you. I just like what I like. You have your own experience.
Exactly.
And maybe your voice resonates.
And that's what I like. I've traveled pregnant. I've traveled with babies. I've traveled with toddlers. Now I'm traveling with kids. I've traveled on my own. I've traveled as a couple in places all over the world and had lots of really amazing experiences. So, can I tell you how to pack your bag real quick? Cause you gotta catch a flight soon.
Like,
yes. Can I tell you, how to pack a week's worth into a carry-on, because luggage is a whole issue.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. So I guess I just know a lot of stuff about traveling. I feel like the airport's my office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there a lot.
That's not a bad place to be.
No,
especially Terminal 1 at Pearson. I'm like, I could live here.
Yeah, I know. There are some great airports out there.
Food's
there are
getting
some
better.
not so great airports
there
also.
Are some not so great. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
We won't call them out. We don't have to call them out.
Okay. If you could design a trip for yourself based solely on pleasure.
And money's not an object?
Money is no object.
Obviously.
Yes.
Obviously.
Okay.
Where are you going and what are you doing while you're there?
Okay.
One place?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do
fine. If you want to do a trip that has
travel the
3
world.
stops.
Okay. Oh, that's such a good one.
Or maybe bucket list, like somewhere you haven't
Do you know
been.
what? And this is really awful to say. Like there are places that I haven't been that I would like to, but I have had some really phenomenal experiences in my life, and I'm so grateful that I have had these. I would like to take my family to Kenya. I want the boys
to experience
to go to Giraffe Manor. I want to take them on safari. I also want to, from there, go to the beach. Of course, I want to lay on the beach.
Are there people that don't like beach vacations? Like, do
I've
they
heard,
exist?
I've heard that they do. Yeah,
They're not of Caribbean descent.
Caribbean
We're
descent.
like, who are these people?
We don't know anything about
Show
those
yourselves.
people. We're not totally interested in them.
Yeah. I feel like it's a balance of like laying on the beach and doing absolutely nothing. Like, don't talk to me unless you're asking what drink I want.
Absolutely. What could you get for me?
Sure. I would love some nachos right now.
Yes.
But also learning something new as well. I feel like travel and vacation can be two different things.
Yes, that's a good distinction.
I've found myself writing a lot about cultural sustainability recently.
Oh, interesting.
So I find that I am drawn to places that perhaps as tourists, I just feel like as tourists, we kind of go to the intersection of environmental, cultural fragility, and then we screw it up. And then we mess it up.
True. Look at Santorini and all these places.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's such a tough question because I still struggle with that because, I want to go to Sicily. I am dying to go to Sicily.
Yeah, me too. Sardinia and all that.
Oh my gosh. And I want to do both lying on the beach, and I also want to cook with someone's Nona.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But I also want to do carnival in Trinidad. I also want to.
I would love to do that.
Yeah,
too.
I'm building up to that.
Yeah.
Because that's
Isn't that what your shoes are for? Putty Road?
That's what my shoes exactly. See, so I got this is like step one. Trinidad is like the carnival, right?
Yes.
So I need to prepare like my liver.
That's in February, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to do stretches.
Stretches. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you wind to the ground?
Exactly.
Get those
get
glutes.
back up.
I get back up. That's the
Very
issue. My
important.
knees are a little like so.
You can bedazzle some knee braces or something. I'll help you, babe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That should be the next pop-up experience, right? Painting knee braces.
Yes.
But that's such a great experience too. So it's like a little bit of both, like adventure experience and relaxation.
Yeah. So but I also love cities.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
too.
like
you love the world. You're a woman of the world.
I'm a woman of the world. I think there are many different types of vacations. And I don't know if I could choose just one. I'm falling very much in love with sub-Saharan Africa. Like, love. Every time someone, I'll get a request, an editorial request, would you like to come out and cover this? I'm like, yes. But, I see it come in and I read the subject line and I don't know where I'm going or what the dates are or if it's feasible. I'm like, yes, count me in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm falling in love there. And then of course, my home is obviously in the Caribbean and I'm focusing a lot. I'm, working on my own show actually, which will be all focused in the Caribbean. So yeah.
That's exciting.
We might have to visit.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can come. I can explore my heritage.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
Anytime. I wonder does the pleasure for you then, does it come from the learning? Like, is that where the pleasure lies in the travel experience for you?
I think so. I think there is, I don't want to discount the vacation with the family in, wherever. I don't want to discount that because those are 100% necessary.
Yes.
And I love doing them with my kids as well. So much fun. But I think travel, and again, I know I'm very lucky to have the privilege to have traveled to so many places. I feel like now it's about perspective and understanding and empathy, because this is all very existential, but I just feel like there are so many awful things happening in the world. And as a writer of color, I always get asked about trauma. It's like the trauma that goes with, being mixed or Black or a woman, like all these minorities, and I feel like travel enables me to see the joy in so many other cultures and people and, landscapes. So, I feel like now for me, it is about learning and growing and trying to understand all the joy amongst all of the awfulness.
Yeah.
Well, and you're giving your kids a perspective too. Like when you're traveling with them, they're gaining that same thing too, where they have respect for other cultures and they can experience something different.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, I heard my 5-year-old say at school, like, oh my gosh, you've got to go to the Westin in Costa Rica. I'm like, stop saying that. Yeah. Don't say that to people.
You're not a travel expert yet, babe.
Yeah, you've got more to go.
Oh my God.
But yeah. I think hopefully it's something that I can pass on to my kids.
Okay, so related.
Okay.
We love solo trips and girls trips, and couple trips are the most pleasurable for us.
Yeah.
But how do you recommend parents derive pleasure from traveling with their children? Because it's not always easy.
It's more of a relocation.
Yeah. And you're still doing the same mom things, just on a beach.
Yeah.
And like with this. So how do you gain the most pleasure from that?
So I think for me, what I have found is you have to just drop all those expectations, right?
Go with the flow.
You have to go with the flow, but also make them as much of a part of it as you can. So like right from the traveling, so we're going to go, let's break it down. We're going with the kids to, I don't know, Italy, let's just say. I have not done this, but but you're looking at like, okay, what is going to be your favorite part of Italy? Oh, and they're like, oh, okay, pasta or whatever. I assume it would be
pasta,
with like
gelato
and pizza, right? Like I feel
we're
like
also like we also want to go to Italy.
Yes, we like those things too. So maybe with something we will watch a video or two before we go. Then when it comes to the plane journey in itself, have them prepare their carry-on bags and
get them involved
in it. If you're traveling, look at that mode of transportation, talk about that, but also allow yourself to get curious. Like if they're like, oh, Mom, what's that over there? And can we go look at it? Okay, let's go look at it.
Yeah,
and maybe it's not what you intended on doing, but you might discover something new about yourself or something that you didn't know. So I think that you just really need to get rid of those expectations and not assume that it's going to be a certain way, because you'll be sorely disappointed and then you'll just be pissed off the whole time.
And you can't micromanage things like that. Like, there's so much stuff out of your control. I remember when we took our son, like his first big trip was Portugal when he was 5.
Yeah.
And like everything was fine. Flight was long, whatever for him, but it was fine. But when we landed, we had to wait 4 hours for a car rental and it was a disaster at the airport. But we nobody freaked out and tried to we're like, okay, it is what it is. We're hanging out here. We took a nap in the sun outside at the airport. I bought them some weird snacks and then we were off. But you do have to just embrace it.
Yeah. And they'll mirror you, right?
Yes.
Kids mirror your emotions so much. And if you're stressed, they're stressed.
And they're going to hate it.
And
so if you're like, this is bullshit, they're going to be like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. They're right behind you making the same little face. My hack is travel with the grandparents.
Oh, that's a great hack.
That's a fantastic
I
one.
infuse the pleasure. It's hard because when you're spending a lot of money to go away and you just have like small people complaining about it the entire time.
Oh, yes.
You're like, this isn't fun.
No.
Like this is actually awful.
Yeah.
And it's awful and expensive, which is like the worst combination ever.
Agreed.
But yeah, that's when my kids were little. I totally was like, hey, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. Do you feel like
you want to go to
St. Lucia for a little? Well, I was filming in St. Lucia in August for this project I'm working on. And it was cheaper to fly the boys to St. Lucia than it was to send them to camp for a week.
Oh my God. I believe it.
Yeah. In Toronto, which is
on brand for Toronto.
Insane. So I said to my parents, I was like, hey,
exactly.
What are you guys doing? Do you want to come down to St. Lucia and hang out with the boys for a week? And they were absolutely,
exactly.
Yes, of course. And it was great. There was an adult per child, which
that
always
has to
outnumbered.
happen is, more
you
adults than children. Yes.
Yeah. So it was great. They had fun. They got to connect with their kids, and everything wasn't all on me.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
And
so
even
huge.
Like you said, just little tips like getting everything into a carry-on.
Yes.
Can save you a lot of time and trouble later when it inevitably comes out late, gets lost, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
So when you're a family of 5, are you packing all of your stuff into carry-ons? How do you do it? Like
I have done. So when I took the boys we went to San Diego last summer, and we all had our own little carry-ons. That's easy. Like you just roll their clothes, and then put them in one of those what are they called?
Packing cubes.
Packing cubes. Thank you. And you can
the Virgos know.
And you can compress those now, so they take up no space. Everyone had their the little one, the baby. So he was
the baby.
He's not a baby. I know. So he really screwed us on that, but he's potty trained now, so we're good.
Too many needs.
I know. And actually, the only real problem we had was my husband's shoes because he was there for he couldn't decide.
It's
So
hard
he just
sometimes with
brought-
outfits, especially also if you're going for weddings or special occasions,
Yeah.
you have to pack all that stuff.
That's a
Person's
different story.
shoes.
You
Well,
can't
he
do-
was there for work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had
So-
like a casual shoe and then a semi-casual shoe and then a work shoe.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he's got massive feet.
Right.
So
Just needs a good solid plain white leather sneaker.
yeah. Yes. We did that. We did that. It's
Just
at
wear
home.
those on the plane, sweetheart.
Wear
okay?
them
Pack your
everywhere.
sandals.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
So I do that. But for bigger trips, sometimes it's harder to manage all that through the airport. I just
just
do
pack it
one
all
big
together.
case
Yeah.
where I can fit all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't
That's a
have to
good
deal
idea,
with
too.
Everyone has a little backpack with
exactly.
their activities
and
and
they've
whatever,
got
and that's it.
and
That's
it's like
great
a
too.
tablet and some coloring books or some sort of drawing
Yeah.
thing, snacks, all the snacks.
All the snacks.
And usually like a book or two, a new book that they've never seen before. That's because there's like a bit of a novelty there. And then of course water, which you have to fill up once you go through
Yeah.
security.
Which thank God you can do again,
yes,
because that was
Yeah.
very annoying.
that
for
was
the time.
super annoying.
I was like not having the Dasani at the airport.
No, that's the
The
worst.
$15 Dasani.
Ew,
awful.
and it's
Yeah.
so gross. It
It
doesn't
is
even
gross.
taste like water. Like,
No.
how can you fuck
No.
up the taste of water?
I don't know.
You add chlorine. That's how
Yeah.
you do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's discuss the intersection of pleasure and work,
Okay.
because you've done this.
Yeah, we
So-
want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
we're kind of getting into the wellness space too,
Yeah.
and the
Yes.
travel space. So we've been doing retreats, and we want to take those.
Yes, which I need to come.
internationally and
I need to come on.
You have to come on the next one. We just got back. So did some of the pleasure of travel go away once it became your full-time job?
stuff. Doesn't seem like it.
No.
Well, she's going to nice places too.
That's true.
Yeah.
So don't answer for her, babe.
No,
They're
but
not
you're
sending her anywhere.
no.
Terrible.
It's different. I find there are expectations when I travel with work. I'm not necessarily following my nose and seeing where I end up and eating when I want to eat, and like a lot of times there's group trips, so you're with people that you don't choose to be with, and sometimes that's amazing, and I've made some amazing friends all around the world, and sometimes it's less amazing and you're still together for the next week.
You're like, this
It's where
is
the rum
great.
punch
this is
comes
How
in.
much am I getting paid for this?
Yeah,
Let's just
exactly.
remind
And
ourselves
content
of
too. You
that.
must be thinking about content
Yeah.
and writing and all
and
these things.
interviews,
You can't really relax.
and sometimes you show up and personally I don't always know what the story is going to be when I
Yeah.
get there, right? So I'm brought to a destination and I'm like I want to find out what the story is, which is kind of means a little bit more I don't know, exploration on my own, which I don't always
Get to do, I guess.
get to do. So to answer your question, sometimes, but I still do enjoy, it's a very, I'm at a point in my career where I can say yes and no to places and destinations. So I tend to go to places that I really have a curiosity, or I feel like there's a story, an untold story there. As I said, I really focus on like cultural sustainability. So if there's a personal connection or, a story, a person, a place, a food, celebration, whatever that needs to be told, I tend to go. So for me, I feel like the pleasure is still there. Again, it's different. It's just different.
Yeah.
When it comes to people, like other people who travel for work that maybe have a job in marketing or
Like something
finance
unrelated,
or whatever.
yeah.
I always say, like, go out for dinner somewhere you've never gone before. Like if you have that time, explore, research a new restaurant that you haven't checked out, because food, as we know, is such an interesting way to learn about a culture, and so insightful. And
It's the best
tells
way.
so many stories,
Absolutely.
right?
Food, walking around, talking to people.
Exactly. Those are the best
Yeah.
stories. The best stories that I feel I've written are ones where I just kind of wandered off and found something, you know. So I just say, you know, use your travel as an opportunity to indulge in your own pleasures, in your own interests. You know, take an hour, you know, whatever you can to make sure you look into those.
Yeah.
And then do you take vacations from that?
Yes.
Like actual vacations?
Yes.
Like you must want to go at one point and just lie down and not fucking write about anything.
100%.
Yeah.
Like there'll be times when, you know, and people will say like, oh, can't you just go there for free? And I'm like, no.
No, because
First
then
of
something
all,
is
then you have to
expected
do
from you.
something.
Nothing is free.
Expectation.
And that
Exactly.
just lays on in your head.
Yeah,
and
I can't relax then.
No.
And, you know, I want to go where I am just a customer
Yes.
who is here to enjoy themselves.
Yes.
Oh, you get spoiled.
And just like, let me be normal.
Yes, I know.
Let me be normal.
Let me be normal.
I know
Okay.
that sounds so awful. but-
We'll pause for a break and we'll let you be normal. And when we come back,
Thank you.
we will chat about travel and identity. It took my kids a record 4 days to start coughing after they started school this year. But luckily, my decade of childbearing experience taught me the importance of preparation. I always have my medicine cabinet stacked with the most effective products for the whole family. The minute we feel that dreaded first sign of a throat tickle or sniffle, we reach directly for betadine. With products clinically proven to defend against colds and provide relief from symptoms like a sore throat, we can keep on keeping on. To be sure that betadine products are right for you or your family, always read and follow the label. Indicated age varies for each betadine product. Okay, so as a fellow mixed race gal myself, I really appreciate that you often document your travels through a BIPOC lens. So I especially loved your work in Birmingham, Alabama. Could you tell us about that trip?
I love Birmingham, which I know, like, and I'm sure you have the same, the same thing out of what we've been told about Alabama, about
the South in
the
general.
South in general, is that it is an awful, awful place. And I was invited to go years ago to go on the Civil Rights Trail. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to go. And I went, and I was in awe of how welcomed I I in the cities and in certain communities.
They're atoning.
There's yes, yeah. But it by other Black people who were like, I didn't have to say like, what are you? And but what's your background? And are you Black enough? Are you what? It was just like it was like my Blackness was seen and appreciated, and I felt like loved. And I felt like community and part of something there. And also, I don't know if you've seen the mayor of Birmingham. He's gorgeous.
We'll be Googling that later.
Totally. Like, I definitely hung around in City Hall for a while, trying to see if I could see him.
Very interesting City Hall.
Hot tip, everybody.
Hot tip. Yeah. And he is just such phenomenal, strong visionary for the city. And, I feel like there is so much joy in Birmingham that we don't even think about, because you associate it with the 60s, right? Where awful things happen. So with my dad, my dad grew up in Jamaica and knew of the South, as we all do. It's a bad place. Never go there. This is where Black children are killed. So I said, you have to come. After I went, I said, you have to come. It's not like it was.
Yes.
There is such, obviously they reference history. You can't ignore history, but they have taken that and there's just so much pride in their resilience and
good on them.
Strength. Like, it is just such an amazing, amazing, amazing place. So I took my dad, and my dad was like, I didn't think this was actually going to happen until you sent me the plane ticket. And I was like, what have I done? So we get there, and he's like, there's not going to be any white hoods around. I was like, Dad, no, come on, man.
What year was this?
This was last year.
Oh, okay.
Like last year.
I'm like,
there's no white hoods.
You never know. What the
I mean,
US
you
like.
never know. I'm like, we're not going for like a drive
Right.
to the country,
No.
but we met, people who were freedom riders who marched in the Children's Crusade. We met the pastor of the church where those 4 little girls were murdered. And it was so healing for my dad, I think, to sit there and first of all realize that he had a connection with these people there, that yes, you're Black and from the South, and I'm Black and from Jamaica and live in Canada, but there is some sort of cohesiveness between us. And there was like, he'd say, like, weren't you afraid? Like, no, this is just how you live. And I found such freedom and healing and connection to my Blackness there that I wanted to share it with him. And I feel like it was successful. Like, we came back and he said, thank you. Like,
That's
I'm glad
incredible.
I'm glad we did that. So I think, I find travel therapeutic in a way. I feel, especially now when I talked about like sustainability, I find for me, it's very self-driven in terms of my subject matter. And selfishly, it's like, I want to learn more about this. I want to focus more on, different mixes in different countries. Like Belize has huge, like tons of mixes. Brazil, huge, like in terms of mixed race kids and I just feel like the world, and especially places we think we know, they have so many stories and healing and connection and rediscovery to show us.
Yeah. I find personally that I'm more conscious of my race when I travel.
Yes.
Like, there's something about living in such a multicultural city that like I don't think of my race like almost ever.
Yeah.
And I'm Jamaican Trinidadian, so I'm not even really mixed with white. Although the Caribbean, as you know, is
one big melting pot of everything.
So my dad is quite white presenting, but I'm Caribbean through and through. But I am more aware of my otherness.
Yes.
When I am not here. Can you relate to that?
Oh, 100%. Okay. Like,
is it a good thing though? Sometimes for me, it's like, sometimes I don't mind it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll go somewhere that would seem totally benign. Like, for example, like I'll go to Miami.
Right.
And I'm like, I go into a grocery store and my partner is like a large white blonde haired blue eyed man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm the only Black person shopping here.
Yeah.
Like, all the other Black people are on the other side of the counter.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, yeah, wow, I didn't notice that. I'm like, well, no, because
of course
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But like, I'm uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like, we need to leave this Whole Foods right now. Like,
yes.
This is fucking weird. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And it is always in these places. Like, sometimes if I'm in Europe or something, people will be like, oh my God, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, because you could also pass for many.
Totally.
Well, that's
like, everybody just
what
thinks I'm from
you?
What are you? Right?
Everyone thinks
she's
I'm
in
from
Mexico.
wherever
Mexican. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
she could be Greek or Italian.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. You don't know. And it's such a global world too.
Yeah.
And
But it's, I do feel, I wonder if you feel like, where do you feel the most otherness when you land there? Or where have you felt that? I know you felt very welcome and whole when you were in Birmingham, or if
which
you're
is so wild. But it still sounds insane.
I was wondering about parts
I
of
feel
the
like
US.
I would feel
maybe,
very aware of my race.
And I wasn't. And I still, and even, it's still, I still very much have the, am I Black enough? I deal with that a lot. Where am I aware? I guess in the States, I feel like, because Caribbean Blacks are very different than African Americans.
Yes.
And I think I'm aware, I'm like, am I being Black enough for you? And what does being Black mean to you? Like if someone looks at me across the street and I'm like, oh my gosh, do you think I'm a white girl with braids? Like, you know what I mean? So, so
with a great tan.
With a great tan.
I love when they're like, you are so tan. I'm like, I'm
this
Black.
is my skin color.
I know.
just look like this.
You've got a great tan. And I'm like, okay,
I guess
thanks.
Sometimes, like sometimes I'm more tanned than other times.
I know February,
and it depends where you are, I guess, for me. Too. Like if it's a predominantly white kind of city or area, that must be a different feeling too. Versus like it just depends, right? And
you're in like a small town in Europe, people are more likely to like double take.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I always find weird.
I know,
because I'm just so blissfully unaware of my own racial identity. Like I just see myself as a person. I don't really lean in too hard into my
But people will, if they've never seen or like if they're just in their little town,
right?
Like I'm sure I would stand out in like Armenia or something.
Yeah,
well, like where does this bitch come from? Like, you know, when you're different, you're different, right?
Exactly. So, and I think like maybe in the States, I'm probably the most aware of my differences, but I think everyone is more aware of their differences than I feel like maybe because it's a more polarized place overall. I find the States tough.
I would agree with that.
But Canada too, like we're in Toronto and we're in Ontario. That's very different from like Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and like that's a whole different feeling too.
My mother-in-law, her grandmother or something like that, one of her that generation had never seen a Black person before they were like 75.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, you know, around the world,
very isolated.
It can be isolating. And even, you know, my brother-in-law was from Northern England, and my sister and I would be up there, and like it's the talk of the town,
of course,
you know, and everyone's like, "Did you see those? Oh my gosh, what are they doing walking down the street?" And her father-in-law, who I absolutely adore, says, people still talk about it in the pub when he was walking down the street with me on one arm and my sister on the other, right? So it's still like
big moment for him.
It was a big moment for him. And it's actually a place called Whitehaven.
So
let you know that's what we're dealing with.
That paints a good picture.
Yeah. So yes, I am sometimes aware. I know my hair, like if my hair, I'll straighten my hair if I know I'm going somewhere where it's going to be easier to have straight hair, which is awful, and I hate that I even think about that. But
you're trying to make other people comfortable, I guess, for yourself too. You're just like, I don't want to deal with the trauma.
I'm not trying to make anybody else comfortable. I'm just like, I don't want to fucking talk about this here. Like I'm just gonna cosplay myself into something else.
And someone said to me when I was in Costa Rica, actually, I was sitting there just having I went with the grandparents. So I had gone for a little walk and was sitting, you know, in this little beach bar. And the guy came up to me and said, he was from Costa Rica, and said, like, you don't want to sit in the sun. You're getting too dark.
Oh my God.
And you're just going to get darker. And I was like,
thank you, sir.
Thanks. And I put it on my social and people were like, oh my gosh, that's so awful. And I'm like, but it's not. It's not. It's like he thought he was being helpful.
Yeah.
And that,
he thought you were a white girl getting a bad burn.
Yeah, well, no, exactly.
Like, you are absolutely baking out here.
No, you know what? I think he knew I wasn't white.
Okay.
And I think it was like, because we were there for a month, so he'd seen me around.
Okay.
And I think it was more of a, like, you're getting brown, and being brown is, you don't want to be too dark.
Right.
Yeah. So he knew I was other,
but
didn't know quite what other was.
Right.
And I was just getting brown, and you don't want to be too dark.
He was like, oh my God, sweetheart.
Yeah. Like, I'm helping you. I'm helping you. I'm saving you. You're welcome.
Right.
Dominican all the time. People come up to me and speak to me in Spanish. I said, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. And he's like, but you look like you're from Dominican,
It's
but
funny
I'm
how
not.
people just assume. No.
I'm not though.
Especially in those places.
Yeah.
Like you're there, you
Yeah.
blend in, I guess, and the people just assume.
Ugh,
It sucks though.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's also, I don't know. I feel like there can be some freedom in it.
It's an opportunity for you to set it straight too. And
Yeah.
kind of, if you, not in a mean way, but if you kind of tell that person, then the next person they approach, they might think twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially now, like
Yeah.
there are more and more mixed kids.
Right.
I was going to say, we're actually the majority now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are more places that like Natalie and I could go and just blend in no
Yeah.
problemo
Yeah.
than you.
Yeah, it's true.
Like you
Yeah.
would stand out more in more places on
Yeah.
this planet right now
Yeah.
than we would. So it's the tables are turning.
Yes. Yeah.
The privilege is ours.
Finally.
Well,
Take
we're
it.
still working
Ish.
on that. You know,
Yes.
the Republicans controlling the weather are making sure
Indeed,
that we don't
yes.
get too much power.
I know.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta
sounds
love that.
fun.
So a little bit related to that too is there anywhere you've been that heightened your gender consciousness? Like how do you navigate that? Not women friendly places.
So, not
Dubai?
women friendly.
I mean, they're pretty.
No, they're trying to come
I mean, they're
around
pretty
now.
modern. No,
They're
I
interested
haven't
in
been there
money.
myself, so
Yeah.
I can't really speak to it. But
I did feel
throwing it
like
out there.
Dubai is very patriarchal, and it does feel like it's one big pissing contest.
Mm.
If you look around, and that's like money, power, and that's very much. I don't know. I feel like it's like a phallic skyline, but it's
Oh,
But-
good fucking point.
yeah.
Yes.
But it's a really cool place. Like
Yeah.
it's has so many wonders of the world, and you know, you see like a ski resort in a mall. Like
Yeah.
it's cool to check out. I was in Ethiopia last year, and I think that was a bit of that was some culture shock. I was there, not like, it's not really a touristy place, and I was there with Children Believe, a charity which I work with, to go look at a lot of these women forward gender equality programs that they work on. And so I was in the middle of nowhere, and they said, oh, you know, well, I mean, there was a big language barrier, but what I got was they wanted me to come be part of the coffee ceremony. So they have a coffee ceremony where someone makes it, and it's like a welcome to my village, to my home type thing. So they asked, and it's actually a beautiful ceremony, and the coffee there is like 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to cover my head, and I wore one of the dresses, and then I had to serve the coffee, and you have to serve the men first.
Oh my God, that would drive me.
And you have to,
bananas.
and you have to do like this little like
bow
bow thing.
I
And
can't.
so this gentleman was like, lower, you have to get lower. And in my head, I'm like, if my parents could see me right now.
And inside, were you screaming?
I was like, but I was being polite
Yes,
and
you're trying to be
whatever.
appropriate.
And the
You're in
women
someone
were
else's
like,
culture.
they were so lovely.
Yes,
And so
it's just how they do things.
and
but
it was
like,
not it was like, unfortunately, I mean, part of the reason we were there is because there is such gender inequality, right? Like, you know, there's child marriage, and human trafficking, and, you know, genital mutilation still, and things like that. So, I mean, it didn't surprise me, but I that was tough.
Yeah.
And
That
I
would
remember
be a
telling,
tough one to swallow.
oh, my
From
mom was
being
like,
from
I
a-
hope you spit in his coffee. And I was like, no,
No,
mom,
I was bowing
come on.
too
Yeah, I
low.
couldn't. The tray was above my head.
I would have been spilling the coffee all over.
It was tough. It was yeah. And so
That's tough
yeah.
to swallow though, because you're
Uh-huh.
here and you're used to a certain kind of respect.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So that was a little, you know, we had to have security every so often. I mean, luckily I could kind of blend in. But
See?
This
Yeah, exactly.
Majority.
They would be like, cover up that blonde.
yeah, and exactly. So I had my manager who's with me, and she's blonde. And like someone tried to reach in her car and steal her bag,
Right.
and the kids were following her around trying to touch her hair because they've never seen blonde hair before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, it was kind of cool to not be, you know, the person that
The
is
other.
different,
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah, that is.
But still, like when we got to the airport in Addis, I was pulled over, not her.
Mm.
And she was like, why didn't they do that? And I'm like, because you're white.
Yeah, you're like, I have some guesses.
Yeah. And she goes, but
Like-
we're in a black country. I'm like, it doesn't matter. That
Yeah.
does not matter.
Yeah.
Around the world, you are still
Yeah.
better than me.
Right. Less suspicious
Less,
or whatever.
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
Well, we will pause here for our last break and come back with some nice light rapid fire questions and a little game of overrated or underrated.
Ooh, I love that game.
We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you in part by Adriana Pietropaolo Design. APD is a boutique, Toronto-based interior design studio that creates spaces that are intentional, meaningful, and inspiring. There is no better time than the present to invest in yourself and your space. Book a 2-hour in-person design consultation with Adriana today for expert advice on anything you need for your home or business space. Renovation costs, furniture layouts, millwork design, window treatment, material selections, color selections, sourcing recommendations, and so much more. APD will make sure to leave you with rapid-fire design advice, tangible takeaways, and a clear roadmap to take toward your short and long-term design dreams. I did this when I moved into a new house last year, and Adriana's tips and advice were so helpful. I truly couldn't have done it without her. Visit her online at adrianadesign.ca, that's Adriana with one N, or email her directly at hello@adrianadesign.ca. You won't regret it. And now, back to the show.
Okay, so rapid fire. Don't think too hard.
Okay.
Whatever comes out of your mouth, you
Oh,
really can't
no.
offend anyone on the Rebel Mama podcast.
I don't think so.
Definitely not us. Okay, so
I'm gonna get hate mail. Yeah.
country with the best food.
Oh fuck.
In your personal opinion.
In my personal
I
opinion.
know you don't want everybody
Yeah.
scrapping on the internet. Actually,
For comfort, Jamaica.
oh, beautiful.
That's but it's comfort.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, well, that's your
Yeah.
country with the best food for you.
Yeah.
Country with the best hospitality.
Ooh, that's a good one. It would probably be, Dubai was pretty good with the hospitality. Either that or maybe like Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best airline. You're like,
This is gonna get me canceled. I flew Emirates and it was 10 out of 10. Phenomenal. The most amazing flight. Like they knew my names. They had
Really?
gluten-free warm buns, like
my
fresh
God.
olives.
like we just get garbage.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
know what's up. Turkish Airlines is great too.
And Lufthansa.
That's
is
what I've
good,
heard.
though.
And Lufthansa. And I just got invited to fly Etihad. So
oh, where are you going?
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. Ooh, you have to
Okay,
let us know
so-
how that is.
Yes.
Most beautiful place you've ever been.
Okay, so that's a toss up. There's
Okay.
two. One is St. Lucia. I love that place so much, and I think it's so beautiful and makes my heart happy.
I need to go there.
Very mountainous, very lush.
Yeah, it's and when the
Very
stars
warm.
are out,
Yes.
oh my goodness, very warm.
Mhm.
Exactly. I basically spend October to March trying to not be here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Same.
Yeah.
We're on the same schedule, babe.
Yay.
It's the kids in the school that fucks it all up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I tried to put them in school in Costa Rica. Anyway, that's a whole other story. And the other I'd say would be Kenya
Mm.
or even Botswana. But that was one of the points when I was there, and we were in the middle of the Mara and it was night, and I looked up and the sky was just like packed with stars. And it was so beautiful. And I was like, my husband should be here.
Mm.
I feel bad
Like
that I'm sharing
FaceTime.
this with other people
Yeah.
who were also lovely. But
Of
I was
course.
like, this is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a moment.
Good
Yeah.
to know.
That's a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Somewhere you don't plan to return to ever again. Throw them under the bus. It's okay. No.
I did not care for Beijing.
Hmm.
I found it I mean, obviously I don't speak Chinese, but
and there's so many people.
There were so many people. It was really polluted. Like you could hardly see the sun through all the smog. I didn't feel like there was a lot for me to do as a tourist, and I stayed. Like I went to the Great Wall and I went to the Ming tombs, and those were all super, super cool. And the palace and everything. But I don't know. I just feel like
wouldn't go back.
Yeah, there are other places that I'd go.
Your kids' favorite destination?
The Nickelodeon resort.
I was gonna say they're gonna say fucking Disney or something, and it's like, damn it.
You know, Disney is awesome, but Nickelodeon, like once they put the Ninja Turtle statues in,
all the kids are like, have you been to
changer.
Nickelodeon?
Yeah, I know. We've been 3 times. They're obsessed.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Okay, 2 more. Go to airport meal.
Mimosa.
I was gonna say
yes.
My first thought was like martinis, margaritas.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't actual food.
Yeah.
I love that we're all
Yes.
And something you'd never ever travel without.
My phone.
Yeah.
Fair.
Sunglasses. Maybe.
Well, the ticket is now in your phone, so.
Yeah, the ticket's in my
Your
phone.
whole life's
You can
in your
track
phone.
me from my phone.
Yes.
And, solo travel, it's so important to be, someone knows where you are.
Oh, that's a hot tip.
Right? Like it's,
Yes.
if you are on your own, you're wandering out. And this is something in China that I hadn't quite figured out yet. And maybe it'd be different if I went back now. But yeah, it's like your lifeline, and if you have an iPhone, and I don't know about other phones, so I am not an expert, but you can, even if you're off grid, can still send a signal. Like when you see the SOS, it can still send a signal up to a separate
That's important.
satellite. So I listen to a lot of Dateline, so I just like,
especially if you're solo.
yeah.
I left my phone once behind in 2010 for my honeymoon. I went with my husband,
Right.
so I was with someone.
Yeah.
But I made the decision last minute because I said, fuck it. I don't want to, I have him and his phone if I need it.
Yeah.
The first, it was terrible. The airport was so fucking boring.
What do you look
that
at?
stuff was
Yeah.
terrible. But once I got over the hump and I was in Greece, it's like I forgot my phone fucking
But
existed.
2010,
Yeah,
you
it
were
wasn't-
rocking a BlackBerry for
It
sure.
was, that's the other thing. It's like,
What are
I
you gonna
wasn't
miss,
really,
BBM?
I wasn't
Yeah, it's
making
fine.
content
exactly.
and
Yeah.
even
Exactly.
my photos were all on my big camera. Like I
Right.
wasn't using my phone. So it was a different time.
Yeah.
It's cool to do that if you can, maybe for a few days somewhere,
Yeah.
if you want to go off the grid and have that feeling, because it's so hard to disconnect now.
It is.
it
And
is.
I put it in the safe before and just
Oh,
left
that's a good
it.
idea. Hot
I
tip.
leave it in the safe and,
And
go
then
out.
later on, you're like,
I'm like, what happened? Oh my gosh. And
fast forward 20 minutes.
Exactly.
You're like, God damn it.
Exactly.
God.
But I think, and saying that with a charger as well, right?
yeah.
Because
yeah,
the
true.
That's the
worst is
worst.
you're like stuck somewhere and you have no access to anything. And your phone's dead, and that would be my nightmare.
I had a dead phone on the way back from Miami a few months ago.
Oh my gosh.
It was so stupid. I felt so dumb. And the guy next to me was like, oh my God, your phone is almost dead.
He was also traumatized.
He was very concerned for me, but it's fine.
Because sometimes they don't have the plug-in.
That's what happened.
On the plane,
Yeah.
right?
That's
you
what
assume
happened.
it will
I got
be there.
duped. I booked
Yeah.
Air Canada and I got a Rouge airplane,
Mhm.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is my pet peeve.
Yeah.
And there's
No movies,
nowhere to
no
plug in
nothing.
anything. No, I had my iPad.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I intended to charge my phone
On the plane.
when I got on the plane because I booked
I can
an Air
just
Canada
imagine
flight.
your
Oh.
energy.
Well, that happened to me on the way back from Mexico.
Mm.
We booked WestJet, got a swoop plane
Oh,
that has not
that's
been.
even worse.
Oh my gosh. We were like, and I was like, where do I plug my phone in?
Yeah.
Luckily, I was okay. I was able to watch, whatever
Oh my
Netflix
God.
thing I'm on now.
Ridiculous.
So I made it.
You made it.
I made
You
it.
survived. She's here. She's
I'm
okay.
here. I'm okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Charger.
Okay, let's do overrated or underrated.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. First one is business class.
Underrated.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's this difference, a massive fucking difference.
Yeah.
It is.
That's also a massive fucking price difference.
Yes. But I just like to say Ethiopian Airlines, not a huge price difference, and one of the best business classes I've ever flown.
Oh,
like
very
that.
hot tip. Okay. Well, let's go with the antithesis then. Discount carriers.
Oh, the worst.
Overrated.
Oh my gosh, they're so overrated.
I know.
Like what? And
You're
then
not
once you
getting
add
much.
the taxes and like your
And-
seat
Absolutely.
and
Your
and
bag, probably they're
space.
fucking
and-
charging you for food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you like look at the pilot, that's another $100. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
No,
crazy. Those
totally
are rough.
overrated.
Airport lounges.
Underrated.
Mm.
Underrated. I love an airport lounge.
Yeah, I
So do we.
know.
We get there early and we have our
Totally.
drinks.
Just have a little
and,
chill.
Have
enjoy
your
ourselves.
mimosa breakfast.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then like set up with your computer, get some like I have written articles.
Yeah.
in
And there's
a
no
lounge.
time
Yeah.
at airports. It's 5 a.m. and you're drinking. No
Yeah.
one has to know. Maybe
No.
you're 8 hours ahead.
Exactly.
exactly.
Which you are. You are.
I'm always 8 hours ahead.
Disney World.
I hope they're not listening.
Don't-
Overrated.
Yeah. Don't worry, we've written about it too.
I just like I don't know.
It's a big spend. I was
It's a big
shocked how much
spend.
money we spent. We did it one time as a favor to someone else, not as my own personal choice, but it's crazy how much money you spend.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so expensive.
And I get it for the kids and everything, but you can take that money and do so much more with it.
And
It's
I think
just-
for my boys, it's not like we did it as a press trip and it was
That's the way to do it, girl.
yeah,
Exactly.
that is the way
Do
to
it on someone else's dime.
because I was like, we can't afford that. Like
No,
we can't
no,
afford
it's
this.
insane.
We
No.
have 3 kids.
Oh my God.
Like this is just not feasible.
No.
And and the oldest one was like, oh, can we go to Legoland? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was really annoying.
No, eat
Yeah.
your
But-
$20
Dasani.
cone.
It's also weird.
Wash it down with a $50
Wash it down with
Dasani.
$30
It's
Dasani.
a weird culty feeling too. I
Yeah.
feel like that's what I got out of it
Yeah.
too. Like everyone was saying, I told Nikita, we're saying ahoy to me every morning because that was the fucking theme there. And I was like, can we stop? Like, I'm
Say
an
hello.
adult, okay? Like just
Say
Yeah.
ahoy to the kids, okay?
Yeah.
Just give
Disney
me a
loves
high five and
Disney.
pass me a coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, I know your answer to this one. Safaris.
Oh my gosh, underrated. They're phenomenal, but they are also not a homogenous experience across Africa. And I feel like think of Africa as a country,
Yes.
not a continent, and it drives me absolutely insane. And every country is different.
Of course.
Like I was in Botswana, another stunning place, and it is one of the largest concentrations of elephants. It's like
Oh, cool.
40,000 elephants in this one area. And, you're not going to have that same type of experience
Right.
in
the next
Zambia
country
or
over.
Tanzania or Kenya. They're all so different.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so do your
the
safari,
safari.
research.
oh my gosh, 100%.
and then do the
Ooh,
safari.
I can't wait for this one.
Okay, cruises,
Overrated.
obviously.
They're the worst.
Okay, luxury shopping boutiques at airports.
Ugh, overrated.
Yeah. I
think
don't- I
But you don't pay tax.
People think
Yeah,
they're
but
getting a good deal, I guess.
I don't think it's
right?
that much of a big deal. Like
I
if you
don't
go to
think so
if you go
either.
to Italy and you go and you buy your stuff there,
Yes.
right? You get the VAT back at the airport.
Correct.
I don't need to buy it at the airport. I'll go outside
Yes.
and,
Mm.
And get the actual
and
experience.
get the
of
actual
boutique.
experience. Like half the time it's sitting in the Gucci store in Florence and sitting there
Yeah.
drinking your champagne
Yeah.
while they bring you your bag to look at.
Yeah, true. You're not getting that at the
And then
airport.
and then I'm getting the VAT back.
Yeah.
So I just
Somewhere to walk through.
it's somewhere to walk through.
Something to
and-
do. It's probably
Yeah.
a lot of great advertising for them.
All inclusives.
They have their place.
Okay.
That's what I will say. They can be awesome.
Yeah.
They can be awful. I think it depends on how long you're there, who you're with. I think they definitely have their place in vacationing, especially when we have 2 weeks vacation and you want to go and do your best to disconnect and have someone do everything for you. Then it's a great and often affordable
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, especially
right?
for families. 'cause
Especially
a lot of
for
times kids eat
families.
free and whatever.
Yeah, and you've got someone to watch your kids for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the kids club, there's stuff for them to do. So I think for families, I think they can be very good.
Have you been to any that stood out as like better than the rest? Just for our listeners, because
yeah.
I know that's a hot
Nickelodeon.
topic. Like everyone.
So Nickelodeon, I mean, my kids loved Nickelodeon. They were great. They had a magician and like a bouncy castle every night. But I will still say beaches.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I remember going there when I had my middle one was 5 months old. They have like nurses looking after them in the baby care area. So he was way safer with them than with me. So I'll be
over there drinking.
Yeah.
Like, can I get a nurse?
Yeah, they are qualified to look after my child. So I rock up and breastfeed him every so often.
That's awesome.
And then played in the pool with the other one.
Right.
So much is included. They even have, everyone there is trained to work with anyone who is neurodivergent. So they have a specific autism program that every staff member has to go through.
Wow.
So I
That's
know
so impressive.
it is really impressive.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of accessibility options for people. So if you're in a wheelchair, they have a special beach wheelchair that you can go on that has big tires so it can go on the sand. So I feel like, they've really done those little details when it comes to food. I'm celiac, so that can be difficult. Never worried about it once. I just feel like they've really nailed
the all-inclusive experience.
Experience. Yeah.
Okay, well, at least someone did.
Yeah, fucking thank God. Beaches.
Okay, this travel pillows. How do we feel about travel pillows?
Overrated.
Yeah, I've bought them.
What about that turtle one?
So I haven't tried that one.
Turtle one?
It's like
a scarf, right?
It's
and it like holds
solid scarf, and so you don't ever your head never nods forward to wake you up.
It's
just like
it's so
it
hard
just
to get
hurts
comfortable.
I can't get comfortable.
I can't get comfortable either which way.
No. I don't sleep long flights. If I'm not laying down, I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same.
That's
way.
where business class comes in.
That's where business class comes.
But I have found that spinning the travel pillow is the way.
Oh, so
like
you have
so that you have the support in the front, so that your head doesn't drop and scare the shit out of you and startle you. Because you're having the support in the wrong place if it's in the back. Like
that's actually true.
Yeah.
If you put it to the front, you can kind of just rest your chin.
That's a good idea. I'm going to try
tip,
that.
Guys. Okay. Well, this was a blast.
This was a blast.
Thank you so
I love when
much.
people listen to me talk. It happens so rarely.
Anytime, babe. All the time. You come here.
Especially about travel. We can talk about this all day. We also have the travel bug. And
we're
so do
all
our
ears.
kids. So.
Yes.
Absolutely. So where can people find you online if they want more?
They want more. Instagram is Natty P. And then my website is Natty P Online.
.com or .ca?
.com.
We'll link everything.
Yeah. And then of course, Breakfast Television.
Yeah, catch her on BT.
I'll be there, and some other projects coming up that I'm working on. So
Amazing.
I'll be around.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come here and join us. We so appreciate you, and thank you for
asking
coming.
me.
Of course, anytime. And as always, to all of our lovely listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Rebel Mama podcast. We would love for you to rate, and review this podcast wherever you listen, and feel free to share it with a friend who you think would enjoy it. And be sure to watch us on YouTube.
Yes.
At the Rebel Mama.
We have to get used to saying that.
Oh, yeah. That's exciting.
It's a whole new world. This podcast was produced by Space Monkey inside the Soda Studio. The song you're listening to is called Name and Number off the debut album Unrequited by Roshan. Stream it now on Apple Music.
And thanks to this episode's sponsor, Betadine. To learn more about why they've been trusted by healthcare professionals to help treat and prevent infections for over 60 years, visit www.betadine.ca or find them on our directory at therebelmama.com/directory. When you feel the sign, Betadine.